Okay, let's get started, guys. I hope my screen is visible and able to hear me. Yes, please confirm me.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yes, yes.
okay, good. Um, Quick recap. So yesterday we have started discussing automation framework implementation for ETL automation testing, and we have seen hierarchy of the project. What are the folders required in automation framework, like the SRC under SRC, two different packages like data validation security package. Then we have created a test folder, and then under the test folder we have created table 1, table 2. Then we added some kind of configurations like configuration for the config YML file, queries SQL file, table 1 validation test file. And then we have also added a couple of config files like pytest, INI file, and runner file. But we didn't add any code in all of these files. Only we just started creating config file, and then created conquest file, and then added a basic version of the code here. So today we will add full-fledged code to read data from different data sources. Okay, so we'll go step by step. So any questions from the yesterday session, guys? Any questions? Any difficulties in understanding yesterday session?
No, no, no.
Yeah, able to follow me yesterday? Everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay, so if you don't understand, you know, right, what to do. Yesterday, after the session, I've explained one end-to-end flow, how it works, starting from taking test case, and then how it navigates to different fixtures, and then how fixtures will be called internally. Okay, and even if you still don't understand, you can do one thing: get this complete code and then put it in the chat GPT. It will explain line by line of code. You can ask, you can do so many cross questions. It will explain to you. Okay, that's one thing. But still, okay, I'm here to help you. I can explain you 100 times if you want, but you should ask the question. You should ask me to explain. I'll explain. If you sit idle, I can't do anything. Okay, so let's start with the today's session. Okay, so yesterday we have created read data fixture. Okay, and inside the read data fixture we have written like very basic version of the code now, no major code written. So here we are calling two different fixtures, Spark session and then read config fixture. So if I go to the Spark session, so we have written very basic version of the code. Okay, just simple Spark session code, like Spark equal to Spark session builder app name getter create. Okay, so this will return us a Spark variable to us. Okay, so when we start discussing databases, I will add few other configurations here. At this moment, let it be as is. I think we don't need much info here at this moment. And then we have created a read config fixture. So this fixture takes one more fixture as an input, that is request fixture. So we know request fixture, how request fixture works. So it gives us test case name, test file name, and then test folder name. So in this case, I want test folder name. I'm taking request.node.fs path directory name, because we will run the test case from the different folders like table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, table 5, multiple folders. So I want table 1 folder. So table 1 folder, how we get it? So if you are running test case from test table 1.py, so internally we apply some fixtures, right? Those fixtures will call, and then internally navigate to the read data fixture and then request fixture, and then gets the folder path info. That's what is happening here. And then we are combining this with the config YML. We are reading that config file. Okay, so at this moment this config has nothing, so it's none. We are getting none output. Okay, so now we slowly add the details to the config file and then try to read the actual files data and then databases data. Okay, so let's start with this, adding some config to this file. Okay, so YML file, right? So I think if you are working very first time with the config YML file, so config files are exactly similar to JSON files. Okay, so I'll write. So in general, right, if it is YML file, we write curly brace open and close, and internally write like source colon, and then you write your path, whatever you write, right? So if you want to add one more tag under this, you can add one more like this, right? This is how we do in the JSON files. Okay, but I'll write like this. Okay, but so this will become your tag and this will become actual data. Okay, but in YML file, we don't need to add extra floor brackets and then like curly braces basically. So if you want to add one tag, for example, you want to create one row, right? Under that some values on it, right? So you can do it directly like source. I'll show you, like we'll convert this YML file to JSON file and JSON to YML file, you'll understand, okay? Okay, source. So if you want to add value for the source, you need to add the colon, okay? And then hit enter, okay? The moment you hit enter, okay, it will give indentation, guys, okay? In YML file also we have indentation. So just everyone create the, I think you already created, just type source here and then put enter. Any name is fine. Like since we are working the source data, target data config, that's why I written as a source, okay? So put colon, then hit enter, okay? So the moment you hit enter, so this will be considered as one detailed information, like one flower brace in the JSON file, okay? So let me write, okay? So here I'll write like path equal to. So if you want to add the path, you just need to put path keyword and then colon, okay? And then you can add the path, like path info here, like I'll just put path, dummy path at this moment, okay? Let me add dummy path, okay? Dummy path. So and then type, I'll put like just one moment, guys. Yeah, type, okay? Type as I'll write like CSV, okay? So wait, I'll just take from here, okay? Not everything, but yeah, this detail, okay? Now I'll convert this file to JSON file and we'll see how it is look like in the JSON format, okay? So just one tag we added, path under this tag, okay? Path type CSV, like schema. And then here we have provided path info. Don't worry what is this path and all. You can also keep some dummy info. Consider this is a dummy at this moment, okay? And then type CSV and then schema equal to y. So now I'll take this data and then in the internet only, okay? We'll just YML to JSON converter, yeah, online. So if you are someone maybe coming from directly JSON background, right, you will understand. Okay, so this is the YML format. This is the JSON format. Can see? So flower brace open and close, and then for this source, you see source added and then tag. The power brace open and close. Inside this brackets, you see the actual data that we have written. Okay. So now if you compare this file and this file, right? So I feel YML file is a bit simpler in terms of writing config data. If you see here, and you have a lot of flower braces open and close, and sometimes we may miss one flower bracket, complete file will be corrupted. Okay. So if you are much comfortable with the JSON file, create JSON code, right? So under the source, I need these details, guys. Under the source, I need path, arc, like and then type and then schema. So that's why I've written source and then indentation open and close and then all this info. So if you now write, like for example, if I write target here, okay, target colon, okay, and then so target also I'll add similar details. Okay, so now you see this is one tag, this is another tag in JSON file. Okay, in YML file we create in this format. Yes, understand everyone? So if you are someone coming from JSON background, okay, so this is how JSON we create, right? So you want to create one tag for source, one tag for target, two tags, right? Source tag and the target tag. Under it, you want to add some details like source path, source type, source schema. Then we create one flower brace open, and in between you write tag and then value, tag and then value, tag and then value. For same target also, you want to add path, the same, right? No difference. Okay. So if you look at YML file, right? So this looks neater and cleaner, right? We don't need to put so many flower brace open and close. Agree, everyone? Clear so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do not watch. Do not worry too much. Maybe YML file. I never worked on YML file. It is exactly similar to JSON file. You don't find this flower brushes. That's all. And you don't find the extra single quote, double quotes, right? For tags. You can see for tag they have written double quote. Here also double quote. Those things are not required here. See path type directly, path type schema. Okay. And you can add too many tags. Like if you want to add validations, like one more tag, new tag validation. Just put validation. Okay. So one more will be added. Okay. Under the validation, for example, you want to add key columns. Add key columns, colon, then put where primary key, for example, serial number. Done. Okay. Now you can see how it is added. Okay. So this is how we create YML file, guys. Okay. Anyway, this structure will be constant across the ETL automation framework. In case if in future if you want to create any such kind of data, right, you can first create JSON file and then convert online tools you can use to convert JSON to YML file. So if you are comfortable with YML file, you can directly use YML file. Okay. So I'll take same data from here and then keep it here. Okay. Yes, clear now, everyone. How to create YML file.
Yes.
Okay. So now how to read this file? Okay. We already created one function. Agree? Okay. So we already created one function for this. And function means fixture we created already. So in the context file, we have created some code here. You can see with open config path. So config path is your config YML file path. It's a read mode and it's a safe load and it will display the config data. Now let's observe what kind of data it displays in which format it displays. Right? Okay. Let me run this. Okay. So pytest -v-s. I don't want to run this 2 times. I want to run only one test case. I'll just mention table1.py. Okay. So -v. We are in the test. So let me mention table1 slash test table1.py. Okay. So I don't want to run like table1, table2 together. I want to run only table1 for now because we only added config data for table1 only. Table1. Table2 is still empty. So let me close table2 related info here. INI also let me get it. This is open. Let it be. Yeah. Let me close this. Okay. Okay. Now let's see how data will be read from the YML file and what format it contains. Okay. How data look like. So let me put some extra things here. Okay. Config data. Oh, what happened? Test table 1.py. Exactly. One moment.
You need to give the tests as well.
No, like I'm already in the test folder. That's why I should be able to find this table1. Let me navigate to table1 directly. We can rewrite it, but let me just test table1. Okay, it is table name is incorrect. Let me reform this. It's TABLE. Then wrong. Yeah, reformatted. Now let me clear. Okay, let me run this command. Okay, done. So one collected now. Okay. So we know how it works. So it goes and take this test count test case, and then we applied read data fixture. So it goes to the read data fixture, and from here it start calling or maybe executing Spark session fixture and the read config fixture. So we are more worried about read config now. So Spark session we already seen how it works, right? So read config. So if you go here, okay, config path. So directory path is this table1 folder path, and then config path is this. So config YML file is now we are getting, and config data. Okay, so config data. So this is the data guys. Complete data is read in the Python. It is in the which format it is guys? What is the type of this data? By looking at this, just tell me what is the type of this data? Sorry.
JSON or the dictionary, right? The data type is dictionary.
Yeah, this is a dictionary data. So the moment data enclosed within the curly brace, there are two possibilities. One is set, other one is a dictionary. So it is not set because we have the key value pair. So this is the key colon, this is the value, right? So this is the second key and this is the value up to here. This is the third key validation and then this is the value. Yes, understand everyone? So this is the dictionary data. So once data available in the YML file, so when we read config data, data will be read as a dictionary data here. Okay. So let me show you type also. Okay. So if you are not sure, let me show you the type also. Okay. Print type of config data. Okay. Type of config data. Okay. Let me run the same again. Okay. Can see it. Type of config data is class dictionary. Okay. So by looking at this, we can directly say, right? So when data in Python fundamental types, when data is enclosed within the curly brace, two possibilities. One is set, other one is a dictionary. So set, it should have only clear values like 1, 2, 3 or strings or whatever, right? Okay. In the dictionary, data will be key value pair format. So here this is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. Okay. This is the key, this is the value. Clear everyone? Yes, clear everyone?
Yes.
Makes sense now? So when data is in the dictionary, so if you want to fetch the source config, how we can fetch the source config, guys? How we can fetch the source config now? I want to fetch only the source info now. So in the dictionary, if you have the key value pair, how to fetch the key value, guys?
You given in the square brackets with source.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So if it is a list, we use indexes. So if you have the
Yeah.
dictionary, we will use the key, right? So config of key, config of source, config of target, config of validation. Okay. So now let me print. Okay. From here on, I'll print source config. So I'll use config data of this is how we write source. So you need to put the exact key, source key. Okay, this is your source. So you need to write same key. Okay, if you use uppercase S, it won't work. Okay, the same way I'll also call target config. Target config, and then here mention target. So if you want to fetch the validation config, use in place of target validation config. Validation, and here validation underscore. So you need to use the same name, guys. Okay, so validation, the same name. We should not change this name. If you change it, you will get the key error. Okay. Okay. So first we read the config data. Okay, and then we understand config data is a format of dictionary. So in the dictionary, we have three key value pair, right? So if you go to the config file, so this is one key, the second key, third key. Total three keys are there. So under the source, you have another three keys like path, type, source, schema. On target, we have three keys again, path, type, schema. On validation, we have one key. Okay. Now we are extracting source data, target data, and then validation config three. Okay. So now let me and then displaying it. Okay. You can also see the code here. Okay. I'm displaying. So these all are not required. Once you understand, we can remove all this part, guys. So this is just for your understanding. Okay. Let me run this code. Okay. See. So this is the complete config data. Okay. So it has three keys and then their values, respective values. And then it's a type of dictionary type. Dictionary. Now source config. You can see source config it is displaying now. Like source path. Okay. Source type, source schema. Target, again, I have written same values. Let me change these values, guys. Okay, let me just put as target here. Here I'll mention as source, okay, just for your understanding. Okay, and here I'll mention as target as different values. Okay, and let me rerun the code. So I'll see now instead of same data, now we'll see different data for source and target. Okay, see, this is the source config, this is the target config, and this is the validation config. Make sense, everyone? Understand? So this is complete dictionary. From the dictionary, we are fetching whatever data we require. So if I do source, right, it will fetch this. This is the value. This is the complete value. So the same value is now displayed here. Okay. So now target this value displayed here. And then validation config. We have only one column here. This part is displayed here. Okay. Now from the source config, if you want to fetch the path alone, okay, if you want to fetch the path alone, so what we can do, I'll just show you for one. Okay, just write. Okay, from the source config, I want to fetch path, right? You can just mention again one more time path. Again, this is a dictionary tab. You can see. Okay, this is a dictionary tab. Values are enclosed within the curly brace. Okay, inside this you can see key value pair, key value, key value, key value. Okay, so path. So if you want to fetch the type, mention type here. Okay, so source config path. This is for printing. Okay, and then type, and then schema, and then schema. So here I'll mention schema. Okay, same thing you can do for target also. Let me add for target also. Okay, target, target, target. Okay, here also we need to change target, 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 target. Okay, and run the code again. Okay, you can see now, right? So source config path is this. Okay, whatever value we have kept in the config YAML file, we are able to fetch that. And it says C is V and schema is Y. And target path is this, and then target format is the type is parquet, and then schema is Y. Just getting it how to read this data, this complete data one by one. Clear, everyone? Any questions?
Srini, while I'm reading with that source, right, it is giving that not in the dictionary format. The
Okay.
results.
So you added same data. Let me push this code. Everyone do this step. This is a very, very important step, right? So I will be adding the new code to the GitHub. Take the correct config data and then read it. Everyone do it, guys. Okay. I'll wait for some time. Guys, everyone do it. I'll wait for some time. I pushed the updated code. Yeah, if you guys want to share, you can share your screen. I'll quickly see.
Srini, another thing, while I'm running the code, I'm seeing that some warnings.
Warning is
after
fine.
the- it's kind of an error.
Okay. Warning is okay. If it is
Mhm.
error, then we will see.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, please go ahead. Whoever wants to share. Quickly we'll see because this step is important. If you don't understand this, stop. I'll stop my screen. You're sharing, Murli?
Yes.
One moment. Yeah, I can see your screen. Scroll up. No, this issue is because see your 1 second. Your code is fine. Your code is working. Scroll down. I think it is because of stop. A stop is not happening. Scroll down. Okay, 1 second. None type object. Okay, so you are trying to read config data of source, but you don't have this source key. That's why. So can you just see config YML has some data?
Yeah.
You added no source. And which file you added? Like we have table one, right? This is table one config, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Scroll up in the output. 1 second. Scroll little bit. Scroll down. You are able to read now. Now maybe you are reading second config also. That's why. So you are reading second config. See test table two, table2.py. Just limit to only one test case. Don't run second test case. Hit enter here.
Terminated also.
Hit enter. It will take you to the next command. Yeah. Run only table one now because table two config we don't have any data, right? We need to put table first. Test folder. TS test.
Yeah.
Hi, Singh. Can you share
You need to put
GitHub?
table one slash. So while adding command table one slash test table one.py. You are inside the test folder, not inside the table one. So,
Can you share GitHub link?
yes, can someone share the GitHub link? The chat. Yeah. It's working, no? No.
Yeah, it's working. But here at the end, I'm
Your
getting.
voice is too low if you're talking.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, I'm getting this message has
No,
been
that is fine.
terminated.
That is fine. Your test case is passed, right?
Okay.
No, these messages are coming because of your spark stop. That's fine. These are not errors. These are not warnings. It's fine. Yeah, who wants to go next? But you understood, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, shall we continue or you have any questions? The next part of it.
Shini, just now I joined, so I just wanted to understand what are we doing?
Now I have just discussed how to create config file and then how to read the config file. That's all.
Okay, and it's already you have pushed this code to the
Yes,
Git.
yes. I pushed the code. Only change in the contrast YML file. That to these print messages. That's all.
Okay, so how do I import this code, Srini, in my project?
At this moment, do manually, but if you are already comfortable with git commands, you can do git push every time. Sorry, git pull.
Okay, because I have not set up Git on my file.
That's why I just copy paste it for now because we are writing only few lines of code, right? I want everyone to write the code, not importing or maybe not getting from directly from the tool. At
Okay.
least copy paste it. You'll understand what you are trying to do.
Just conf test file we have.
Only conf test file. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And nothing is hard coded. It's just everything is dynamic. Okay. So you don't need to worry about it.
As Rini.
Yeah, Nishanthan.
So my output is coming, but some error is coming for me.
What is the error?
One second, I'll show you one second.
I can see your screen. Yeah.
So this is coming like that. After that, some error is one second. Like that, this type of error is coming.
That's what I asked everyone to run only table 1. You are running table 2 also. That's why this is error. Just limit to only one test case because second data set, right? Second config.
Okay. Oh,
you don't
this
have
error is
second-
coming for table 2 is coming for this table 2.
Yes. If you scroll up, I'll tell you. I'll show you the message also. Scroll little bit slowly. Yeah. Go up. Go up. Go up. Yeah. So you are running table 2. So table 1 is passed. You don't see any error. The table 2 is the issue now. Table 2, we didn't add this config, right?
Okay. So it's fine, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is fine. Run only table 1. Okay, everyone. Okay. Don't run table 2 now. Table 2, we didn't add any data there. Okay.
Okay.
Will fail. Clear, everyone? So let me share my screen. Click. Okay, so these messages just for your understanding, as when you are writing code in your real project, you can just remove all this piece of code. You don't need it. Okay, so we are returning config data. It contains complete information. So let me now create variable here. Okay, so I will use config data, config underscore data equal to read config. Okay, so I'm calling fixture and then storing that fixture output back to config data variable. Now, if you want source config, let me make it as source config equal to I will use config of source, config data of source. So same line I will use for target config into target. Okay. You guys understood these two lines, everyone? We don't need to print here. We don't need this information here because we are not going to do anything here. Okay. So we need this information here. That's why I'm creating two variables here, source config, target config. But this now config data of source will contain source config info. Config data of target will contain target config info. If you want validation, you can give validation also. Like validation config equal to config data of validation. That's all. Okay. Clear? I'll remove this part now. Is it fine for everyone? Can I remove this part? I will comment it because we don't need to print every time, right? I'll just comment it because just print messages, right? Let me also comment this part. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to see what is source, what is target, you can put print messages here in case if you want to see. Okay? Otherwise, you can just leave it as is. Okay? But let it be. I'll just keep one print message here so that we know what data it is showing. Okay. Source config, or maybe I'll just keep config. Config data. So let me add print 100 times. Okay. Okay. So I've commented this will never print now unless you uncomment it. Okay. It's up to you if you want to print it every time, you can print it, otherwise just ignore it. Okay. So I'll run the code again now. So this time it will not show the path and all, it will just show complete config at one place. Okay, can see this is the config now. Okay, so I know what data is here, source path and then type and now. So now we write the logic here. Okay, so inside the same place, okay, here we write the logic. The logic is, so instead of hard coding this return source, now we will return actual source data. Okay, so now we'll write the logic here. Okay, quote to read source data. Okay, so you can also write like source or maybe code to read config and create variables for source config, target config and validation. Right? Okay. Now we'll write here. Okay. So here we write condition if, okay, source config of, okay, source config of, okay, type equal database. Yes, we go one level complex now. If you don't understand, let me know. I'll explain multiple times. Okay. So now I have source config, target config, validation config. Now I'm writing if condition here. If my source config type is database, then I write code here. I'll write a simple call now. Okay, source df equal to, okay, source df equal to source. Okay, maybe I'll create one function. Okay, read db function. Okay, so we didn't create readdb function, we'll create readdb function. That's why you see the red color underscore. That is fine. Okay, else. Okay, or you might be having questions, Srini. You have written only database. What about if it is Snowflake database, if it is XYZ database? Okay, PySpark doesn't need multiple packages or multiple things to read data from different databases. So it just need only one piece of code. It does read for every different database by putting different jars and then different driver info. Okay, so I'll just keep as is. So readdb, I'll create one readdb function. Where we'll create? We create in the helper or maybe in the utility folder. Else. If it is not database, okay, source df equal to read file. That's clear, everyone? Understood? So we write similar logic for target. Okay, code to read target data. Okay, so in place of source config, I'll now write target config. If target type is database, then call readdb function and then store this variable as target df. Okay, target df. Here also target df. Yes, everyone understood this part. Any questions here?
But the arguments for the read underscore db would be different, right? For the
Yeah,
source and the
we'll
target.
create function and then we add the variables. Okay. Clear now, everyone? So this code, if I run now, it will fail because we don't have readdb function. We don't have read file function, not read file function, and then read file function. Okay. So we create two functions now. Where we create, because these are the helper functions, I'll create under src utility. Okay. So let me create one Python file here. Okay. Utility, or maybe I'll let readdb. Okay. So one Python file here. Let me create one more Python file for read file. Okay. So read file. Okay. So here we write now code def read file. Okay. Yes, clear. So this is module. Let me show what we have created before. This thing. Read DB library. Yeah. Lib. Let me add that lib. Everyone create these two files, guys. Okay. Read library. Read file library. Okay. To read data from the file, what details we need, guys? Consider 5 different files for now. Okay. It's a CSV file. Okay. JSON file. Parquet file. Okay. Avro file and TXT file. Okay. These files. Okay. So if you want to add Excel, you can add Excel, but in big data, we don't use Excel concept. So that's why no Excel. So if you want to add XML, you can keep XML also. Okay. Okay. Now we write for at least 3 to 4 files, and the remaining you can do another one. Okay. So read file is a function. So to read data from CSV, what details we need, guys? Yes, what details we need?
Type, path.
Type we need, right? Type. So let me make it as file type. Okay. So that it is more clear. File type. Okay. What else? File path. Okay. What else?
Delimiter.
Delimiter. File separator. What else?
Schema.
Header.
Schema. Okay. Header. Okay. What else? I'll use for everything file underscore file underscore. File schema. What else we need, guys? Is this fine now?
Path.
Path is there already. So the important thing are two, right? File type and then file path. These are additional configuration. Agree? So if you generally, if it is CSV, most of the times it will be comma separated. You don't need to explicitly pass if it is comma. If it is pipe delimited, yes, we need this file separator. Okay. So schema, it is sometimes it is not needed. You can read as is present in the file, or you can also ask spark in for like spark equal to like info schema equal to true. Okay. Header, you can mention header true or false. Okay. It's up to you. Okay. So these two are important. The remaining are optional, or maybe would be better if they are available. Okay. So now let me go with the same options that we have. Okay. So now we write if conditions here. If, so first I'll convert, okay. File type equal to, okay, file type dot lower. Okay. So some users may provide CSV in upper format. Some user may provide CSV in IntCap format, different format, right? So I want to convert into lower format in my code and then do the check, the if condition check. If now file type equal to CSV. Okay. I go inside this. If file is CSV, then we write in general. I'm not going in depth now. In general, I'll write. Okay. Like we write like Spark. So we need Spark also. Let me add the Spark variable that is much needed. Okay. So let me put Spark. Okay. So without Spark, we can't write any code here, right? So now Spark equal to, sorry, df equal to Spark dot read dot CSV and then provide your file path, because file path is in the function arguments, file path. Okay. So if you want header, mention header equal to header, file header, header equal to file header. So if you want separator, use separator, okay, equal to file separator. Okay. So if you want schema, you can directly use schema, of schema, or file schema. Okay. But most of the times, right, even if we are a testers, we don't provide all these options. Agree? So if you strictly say, okay, file schema is needed, if file header is needed, then only we provide. But some users may provide, may not provide, right? Sometimes schema is itself is not required. We can read as is. Okay? So we can read file data with the help of this code, but some users may provide header info, some users may not provide header info. Assume you are selling this product to your project team or maybe somebody else, so they will be running this code. So consider you are a developer of this framework and you need to think how other person can handle this framework, how other person can run this framework, right? Sometimes he may not provide header, we get error. Sometimes he may not provide. So considering default is schema, default separate is a comma, so he will not provide comma separator, right? So we have to handle all such scenarios. Okay. So if you want to make your framework robust, right, okay, you need to handle all different scenarios. Okay, all different scenarios. Okay. So now I'll put here and comes here and I'll write if schema is available, if schema equal to y. Okay. Let me put file schema. Okay. If file schema equal to y. So we have to use equal. Okay. If it is y, then only go inside and then run this code. Okay. So when user is provided schema, we have to read schema file, right? Let me also add one line of code equal to read schema function. So read schema is not there, we'll create the function now. Okay, I'll add this code also. Okay, so likewise you can check and condition if it is present or not, like header is present or not, separate is not present or not. But you can make as robust, but in the interest of time, I'll go with the basic version. Okay, equal to y. Okay, else if user is not provided schema, right? So we are inside the CSV and we are checking now if user is provided schema or not. If he is provided, we read the schema that is there here, okay, schema.json file. If user is not provided schema, then we go else block and then run df equal to spark dot read. So if you guys want, let me make it as multi-line so that it is clear. Okay? This, dot directly like CSV and then provide all these options. Okay. So now you need to instruct your team. Okay. So if it is CSV file or whatever file, you need to explicitly mention this info. Okay. For example, if file is not CSV, it is a Parquet file, then file separate is not needed, right? Yes, agree. If you are running for Avro file or XML file or some other file, so only for Excel we have separator, but for JSON we don't have separator. For Parquet we don't have separator. Then user will not provide, right? He is thinking, okay, it is a Parquet file, I don't need to provide separator. But in your code you have explicitly mentioned it is required parameter. Agree? So what I'll do now, I'll just remove this three thing because file separator, file schema, file header is required only for the CSV and few other files, not all the files. Okay? So these are not required for every different file. So I'll remove this code and then put here config. Okay? Make Spark in the beginning because it is much important. Okay. So when passing config, when we are passing config, from the config you can pass your validation like your config data. So now what I'll do, file schema is fine. So here I'll use config of file header. Config of file header. Guys, there are a lot of chances you might get confused. If you have any question, ask me. Okay, I'll explain. Config of file separator. Done. Okay. If provided, that's fine. If not provided, then it will take care automatically. No. Okay. So now user has to provide config data. So config data, I'll show you from where to pass. That will come from the same AML file that we already created. Okay. So here also. So I'll just change this. Do we need any other details, guys, other than this? Any other details needed for CSV? Think all perspective and tell me. If something is missing, we will add.
Add a infer schema.
I'll come to that. Yeah. So in PySpark, multiple lines can be written by slash and at the end by slash, or we can also put start and end parenthesis. Okay, this will take care of your multi-line. Okay. So still it is fix white spaces. Yeah. There are white spaces. Let me fix white space. Yeah. So now the issue is with the read schema. Okay. So we already have file here. Okay. We already have file here, but this file we have to read, right? So we will add some data here and then show you how to read this file. Okay. But before that, yeah, here, if user is not provided schema, we will ask Spark to infer. Okay. So let me add infer schema equal to 2. Infer schema equal to 2. So this is optional. If you want to infer, you can infer. Otherwise, you can read all columns as a string. So if you don't provide infer schema equal to true, PySpark automatically read all columns as a string and then display the output file. But in case if you want to use infer schema, you can mention infer schema. Okay. You can also control from config file. Let me use config of. Let me write this extra parameter as well. Okay. Config of infer schema. Yes, clear everyone so far. Any questions? Any questions here?
So the config, it will fetch from the config.yml, right?
Yes, yeah. Okay. Okay. So now we will add all these details in the config YML file. Okay. So let me put here config. So if you are getting confused, you can also mention file config here, okay, as a key, and then under this you can add a header. It's true. Separator equal to comma default. And infer schema. Infer schema equal to true. Okay. So we added extra file configs here. So we already have the main tags like path under the source, path, source type, source schema. And these are optional. Okay. So if it is CSV, then you can provide. Otherwise, you can keep as NA. You can mark as NA. Okay, NA. Okay. That flexibility is there now. Clear, everyone? Any additional? Say if you want any additional, like if you want to consider CSV not null values, or if you want to pass your date format, you can pass it from here. Okay. But you have to use those values inside your code. Okay. At this moment, I'll go with this. I do not want to make too much complicated at this moment. We'll go with these 3 options. Okay. So now this is the key. Okay. So this value we will pass while calling the function. Okay. So yeah. So now go back to this. So there is a issue. So read file. I will now pass the parameters that we need to pass. Okay. Read file. Okay. So we have to pass these details. Okay. This copy. Go to the conf test and then call this one by one. Okay. I'll call one by one so that okay. Spark you need to pass. First we have to import this. Okay. Let me import it. Okay. From src dot. So where is this function, guys? Read file library. So it is available in the src utility. Okay. Dot read file library import read file function. Okay. Function is now available for us to use. Okay. So we created function in the src utility folder read file library. Okay. I'm imported that function read file function. Okay. So now the error is gone. The read file function is available. Now we'll pass this parameter spark equal to spark. Okay. So let me call this spark equal to spark session. Okay. So this is the fixture, right? The fixture output will be stored to spark variable now. Okay. Spark equal to spark. File type. Where is the file type, guys, now? How to get the file type? How to pass this file type here? If you understood this, you understood complete framework so far. How to pass
Config
this?
of config
What
of
config? What config? Source config, target config. So we created two variables here, right? Source config, target
yes.
config.
Source.
So we are working with the
Source.
source here. So we have to use
Source.
source config of. Okay. Source underscore config of. Okay. Config of. What value we need to pass here? File type. What is the tag here?
Type.
Type, right? This
Type.
type you have to pass type. Okay. Type. So write in the type. Okay, I have already shown this. Okay. If you observe here, right, we have written this all. So config data of source, path, type. Okay. So in my case, I've created one variable for this. Okay. From that variable, we are now taking path or type. Okay. So that's what is up. You can see source config I've created. Okay. So and then path equal to source config of path. Okay. And now config. Okay. Source config of, what is this, guys? Okay. Source config. Where is the source config? Source file config. This one, right? File config. I'll use this key here. Okay. This key is here. Understand everyone? So if you are confused, yeah, let me use file config here. Okay. So let me update this value inside the function also. File config. Here. So now let me change this parameter here. File config, file config, file config. That's a file config, file config. We'll reformat the code. It is not looking good. We'll reformat. Okay. So it's done now. Okay. So first part is done. This part is done. Clear? So I'll now just, I don't want to see this red color. I'll add code bit later. Let me put pass it. Okay. That's a pass. I will come to this function and then we will add the data. But before that, let me add pass it. Okay. I don't want to write that code. Okay. Same way for target also. Okay. Same piece of code we add here. But here you just mention target df. Okay. So read file, and here you just pass target type, target config, target config, target config. Yes, everyone clear? Any questions here so far? Yes, any questions? Any questions so far? Yes or no?
As of now, good.
No questions? Clear? Following me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So now, okay. So if I run the code now, okay, if I run the code now, so it goes to this table one. So same command, okay, I'll run the same command. Okay. So pytest -v -s table one / test table one dot py. Okay. The moment I run, it goes to test count and then read data fixture. So inside the read data fixture, we are calling two other fixtures, Spark session fixture, read config fixture, both will get executed. So we know the purpose of read config. So that specific table config will be read and then pass it onto this config data, and Spark session will be executed, and then Spark session fixture output will be stored to Spark variable. And then we are printing it. What is the source config? And then we are creating two different variables out of config data. So config data of source is one variable, that is source config. Config data of target is target config. Okay? So from these two variables now we are driving complete execution, like which one to execute, how to flow further. Okay? So now if you observe here, okay, if source config of type, if it is database, we are calling readdb function. We didn't create it, we'll create eventually. And then if else, if not database, if user is not provided type as database, he provided CSV, parquet, Yavro, then this code will get executed. This piece of code will get executed. When it is running, right, read file function needed these Spark variable, file type, file path, and then file config. So we are passing those variables. Okay. So these four are mandatory for every different file. Okay. Header is not mandatory for every file. Right? That's why we didn't keep that header here directly. Okay, for parquet file, we don't need header, we don't need schema also. Okay, so that's why. So if required config, we'll pass it from the file config. If not required, we'll keep NA everywhere. Okay, let it be NA. Okay, and then for same target also. So if target type is database, then we call readdb function, same function. If it is not database, target type is not database. If it is file, we go to the target else block, and here same function we are calling, but parameters are different. Okay, so this is same Spark. Okay, but file type now target config, not source config. Okay, because it is target block, target database or target data read. Okay, so we are calling, we are passing target related info here, but here we are passing source related info. Okay, and then eventually it returns if you mention source df comma target df, get source target. So let me now print source target here. So read data returns us to source underscore df comma targets underscore df equal to read data. Okay, so read data, so it returns these two. So now I'll print source df dot show, because Spark data frame, right? So show option we have to use target df dot show. Okay, and eventually we, if you want to do count, you can do count, whatever you want to do, you can do, but let it be. So now I'll change this paths, guys. Okay, this is S3 path. I don't think this S3 is now working, so I think it stopped. Okay, we don't have it. Now we will use our local files for some time. So once everything looks fine, then we go to the S3 or ADLS and then we run. Okay, so I'll bring some files. Okay, where are my files? If not there, maybe let me pull. Let me add from my local. I'll take this input file. I think for weekend batch, you guys have these files, right? Input files. If you don't have, let me know. I'll give these files. Okay. So I added input files now. I'll take simple CSV file. It is contact info file. Just copy this path, absolute path. Go to the YML, config YML, and then update this path here. Okay. This is source file path. Okay. So in your case, you need to change backward slash to forward slash, I guess. Okay, if you are using Windows, right? Mac, it will work without any issue. But if you are using Windows OS, you need to change the path. Okay, as part of the pandas, I think we have discussed it. So there are three ways. You can add one extra slash additionally to the existing slash, or you can change backward to forward. Okay, so if you are facing any issues, let me know. I'll show you. But let me complete this and then we execute for one data source, and then if you are facing, we'll fix all your issues. Okay, this is the source uh, file info. Consider target is also file, okay, not database at this moment, just file. Okay, so let me take one more file, target info 7. Okay, this file, you copy this file. If you don't have these files, don't worry, I'll share in some time. Just a moment. Let me first fix. Okay, so now CSV file, this is also a CSV file. Schema is now, let me made it as young. Okay? We didn't add anything. Okay? Awesome. Okay. And header, if you want this configs, you can, it's a mandatory. Let me pass this false. Okay, config header true. So the header is true, separator is same. Infer schema, I'll mention as false. Okay, mention as false. Okay, so now let me go to the read file. Let's cross check. We have this error. We'll fix this in some time. Let it be for some time. Just for some time, I'll just make it to avoid the issues. Right? Let me keep this in. I'll come to this and explain this function alone. Don't worry. Let's schema. Okay, error should gone. Okay, done. Okay, so yeah, we fixed it. Now let me run this code. So ideally it should read that two files data and then display the data frame for me. If any issues, we'll fix one by one. Let it. Okay. So if you observe, I think there is error. We'll fix that error. This is the config data class now. Okay. So path is this. Okay. This file is there. I make sure this file is there. Type is CSV and schema is Y. Schema is N. And then file config is this one, header, and then separator, all these things. Target is this. And then target related type, target schema, file config is this. Okay. So it is showing me error. Let's see where is the error. Okay. So error is at in the read data fixture, you can see read data fixture. Okay, let's scroll down and issue is at the schema. Okay, it says schema is not there. Okay, so file, let me fix this issue. I think we have just updated it. File config, let me add that schema also here. Okay, we have schema. Let me put this inside this. Just failing here because that schema variable is not found. Okay. Let me rerun it. Okay. So see, when you get any error, right, you don't need to fumble. Just see the error message clearly. If you don't still understand, then we will see. Okay. So say it is clearly saying, right, schema. You can also see the line, which line it is showing. So file config basically does not have this schema variable previously. Now we added it. Okay, let me run. So let's focus on output. Okay. One more key error, file header. Okay. But we have header. It's not file header. Let me change the code here. Okay. It says, okay, let me go to the read file. So if you observe here, right, we given file header. Okay, it's not file header, it is just header. Okay, separator, just separator. So I'm saying separator just, you can see here, right? So this schema header separator info schema. That's right. Okay? So connection is very, very important. If you don't understand connection, then you don't understand framework. These are expected when you run first time, right? So you might give some incorrect parameters, incorrect names, keys, errors, all these things, but we should be able to fix it. Okay. It is failed. Data is not read. Okay. Why it is not read? Schema N, it is fine. When it is displaying the source DF, it is failing. Okay. So let me cross check. Okay. So here, if you observe, right, we are storing this DF, but we are not returning it, right? Let me return it. Return is missing. Return DF. When we don't return from the function, so it always takes none as a output, right? So that's why it is failing. Let me add this return statement. So return is added now. Okay, now test case is passed. Okay, now let me display the data. So you can see data is displayed now. See, this is the source data, the below is the target data. Yes, clear everyone? Any questions here? Understand how to read CSV data?
Yes.
Everyone clear?
Yes.
Everyone clear?
Srini, both the file have same data.
It's not exactly same. If you compare the right, so let me show you. There should be some difference. Okay, so there are 11 records here. I think there are 12. Okay, here let's see how many records. You can see 10 as identifier, but here you see the 11th record. Okay, source has different data, target has different data.
So we
So
are not comparing the data, right? Just checking the
we are
count
not
only.
comparing. We are not comparing it. We are not even comparing the data also now. We are just displaying the data. That's all.
Okay, but both the file.
Both the files data are displayed. So
Okay.
once you have data in the data frame, right, you can do whatever you want. You can now, if you want to compare the count, you can do source df. Here you can do source df dot count equal target df dot count. Done. So earlier we were using assert true. Now we are using your data frames to do the count check. Now I think count will fail, I guess. Yeah. Count is not same, I guess. Let me just see once. So guys, understand the connections now. So if you understand these connections, right, we'll go further complexity, because we read schema file and then we pass schema variable, and then we also read data from databases, right? So it will become further more complex. Okay. So it is failed because source count is 12, target count is 11. Two different files, right? It is able to now clearly tell you source count is 12, target count is 11. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Everyone clear? Okay. Okay. So now we will fix this issue, schema issue. So schema, we made it hardcode, right? Let me add one function called read schema function. Okay. And we call that function the read schema function. Okay. For the function, we need to provide read schema and then parenthesis open and close, guys. For general, okay, for fixture, we don't need to provide it. Okay. If you observe here, we are not passing any parenthesis open and close. Okay. So fixture, we don't need to pass any parameters. So fixture internally contains fixtures, those fixtures will get executed. Okay. But if it is a function, we need to pass parameters if required. If you see, this is the function, not a fixture. Read file is a function. That's why when I'm calling function, right, from conf test, I'm passing all these required parameters to the function. Okay. This is not a fixture. Okay. So done. Now let me enhance this library, read file, right? So to read the schema, we need file path, right? Yes. To read the data from the schema file, we need path, right? Yes,
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
So we can do one thing. We can, if you need dynamic path, we need request fixture. Agree? Agree?
Yes. Yes. Dynamic path tree.
I'll pass now request here, right? And then just copy the code from here. Okay. Not here. Sorry. We should not pass it. The contest file. Here. Okay. So here, what I'll do, I'll pass request fixture. Okay. Request fixture. Okay. Request fixture. And then we'll call this. Okay. We'll call this somewhere here. Okay. So directory path equal to this. Okay. I'll pass this directory path to this. Okay. dir underscore path equal to dir path. So dir underscore path. Okay. So we have to add one extra parameter here also. Let me add that extra parameter dir path. dir underscore path. Okay. So dir path we need to pass here. I'll pass dir path here also. Okay. So we are adding one by one, guys. Okay. So it will become more complex. If you don't understand now, let me ask. Just ask me. Okay. So now context file, and we have this directory path. This is coming from the your test case folder path. Okay. So it is there here. So here also we'll add this extra thing. Okay. Let me pass here. Okay. Done. What happened? Okay. Done. Yeah. Done. Okay. So now I go here. Okay. So read schema function, we have to create as a helper function. Let me create helper function. Okay. So I'll go to the SRC utility. There is already one helper function here, right? Read SQL, read schema. So now we will fill the code here. So this need directory path. So I'm passing directory path. Okay. So I'll just take the same code from here. General library. read schema. I'll take both, but let me just take this code alone now. Okay, Control C, go to my code, then add it here. Okay, so import is needed. Let me import this. Import OS, sorry, from PySpark .sql .types. Okay, import struct type and import JSON. Okay. Okay. So now def read schema, we get this directory path, okay, from the read data fixture. Okay. And here you see schema path equal to os.path.directory path join directory path. So this will be the folder one path, okay, table one folder path. Okay, table one folder path. Inside this we have the schema JSON file. Okay, we are adding schema JSON file to this. Okay, and with open schema path comma r as f schema equal to, this is the code, guys. Okay, I don't know whether Prasanna has discussed, but in my weekday sessions I've discussed this piece of code, how it works. Okay, so we will read this schema JSON file and then we convert into struct type struct field format. That's clear, everyone? So it is covered in weekend batch, how to read data from schema files. It's covered.
We didn't cover files at all.
With open, we have.
Oh, you didn't even cover the reading part, like
Files,
part?
yeah.
This part not covered.
No,
Spark read CSV, Spark read JSON, not covered.
Covered.
we didn't do any files.
Jan batch.
Jan batch I covered, I know. Because we did almost 25 hours only, 20, more than 20 hours only for PySpark, right? Okay, that's fine then. Okay.
So that's the reason, I mean, for me, when you put the schema and everything, it's all new, because we didn't do files. Yeah.
Okay. So weekend batch, right? You guys already have my recorded session access. I think PySpark alone I covered more than 20 plus hours. So we covered each file in detail, like what parameters need to pass, and then the semi-structured files like JSON file I covered in detail. Just go back and watch. So next 1 week, right? So for you guys, I'm not taking any batch, right? Any class. You can continue watching those sessions. Next week when we are connecting, again, I'll explain this part, this piece of code. Okay. For now, in the interest of time, I'll just go with the same code that I'm writing now. But by next week, you just try to finish at least read part. Okay. We have covered almost 4 files with in detail options with schema included in it. Okay. Okay. So read schema now. So okay. Let me go to the helper function. Okay, here we have this function. Let me import that function here. So from src dot utility, okay, dot helpers import read schema function. Okay, read schema function. Okay, and then now inside this file we have to add schema. Okay, now right now it is empty. Okay, right now it is empty. So let me add some schema. Like let me explain the schema also, how to create the schema also from here itself. Okay, test table 1 and just take source schema and then update it. Okay? Source df dot schema. I don't remember. Dot JSON. I think just schema. Let's see. It's not giving. Okay. So let me print schema. We can create manually the schema preparation. I don't want to do manually. Let me use the code itself to create the schema for me. Let me run this. Okay. So this is the schema. Okay. So I'll take the same schema. This is Spark infer schema, guys. Okay. So I don't want Spark import schema. I want my own schema. What I'll do, I'll go to browser. Just type JSON beautifier. Then go here. Let me upload my data. Okay, this is my data, and I'll use. Okay, there is some issue. Okay, this is already converted. One second. .json. So this is the schema. Just take this and then beautify it. So this is how we create the schema, guys. So if you don't know how to create the schema, first read the data frame, asking Spark to infer. Spark will infer the data and then display the print schema for you, right? Same print schema you can use like data frame dot, okay, data frame dot schema dot JSON. Okay, this will display the schema of your file, okay, metadata of your file. And then I'll use now beautify. So now it is created, formatted JSON schema. So I'll just come to my framework and then add under my schema JSON file. Just put it here. Okay. So now if you want to rename any column, so assume your developer has, so this is the Spark inferred schema. So if you don't want to use the same, you want to rename few columns and then change the type of the data, you can use it. For example, identifier, I want this as a lowercase identifier. Keep lowercase. Surname as lowercase surname, not uppercase surname. Okay. So given name, there is a space. So table will not accept the spaces. So assume given name is updated as given underscore name. Okay, middle initial is fine. Yeah. Suffix is fine. And then primary street, let me change this to P into lower format. And then string primary street name. Okay, city is fine, state is fine, and then zip code and primary street number previous. Okay, so see right now I'm manually adding all this, right? So you need to refer this to update this file. You need to refer the mapping document. So based on your target data frame or target table, so the same you need to update here. So if it is primary street, just right, primary street, you need to put only primary street for this column. So if it is primary street number previous, right, complete previous, you can mention previous. So it should be as per your mapping document. Okay? And then same primary street name previous, city previous is fine, and state previous is fine, zip code previous is fine, email, let me convert email to lower format, and then phone to lower format. Okay? These many columns are there, and then birth month is fine. Yeah? And okay, column we renamed it. The next part, data types. Okay. So if mapping document says it is not integer, it is a long type. You can change to long type. Change to long type. So it is string anyway. Name should be always string. Let it be string. So likewise, you can update even data types also. We have updated. We have added the schema now. Okay. Now let's observe how to execute this. First read this file and then execute the actual file read by using this schema file. Right. So we have to now use this config.yml. Okay, and then put schema as y. Okay. So now when code is getting executed, it goes to read sorry, conf test file, and here we have written a read file, right? If it is file, it goes to read file function, and here written file is CSV, file schema is y. Okay, if file config schema equal to y, then this piece of code will get executed. If not, this code will get executed. So far when we executed, it has executed this piece of code, else block code. This was not executed. So now we have made that schema indicator equal to y. So now when you say y, it goes to the schema and read the schema file, this file, schema JSON file. So if you want to understand schema also, let me put one print message here so that you get some clarity what is happening inside the schema code. Okay. So let me use this. It says print schema is. Okay. I put schema. Okay. Schema. Okay. I also add some extra things here. Print Even if you want to see the schema path, right? Let me print schema path also. Okay. Which file it reads? Print schema path. Okay. Schema path. Okay. So I'll run the code now. Let me remove this unnecessary print messages in the test. Schema is added. readdb is not needed. Let me close this test table. So I'll remove this print message now. Also, I don't want to see unnecessary failures. I want to keep just as true for now. Okay, we are not doing any kind of testing at this moment. We are only building the code. So let me keep just set as true. So after this execution, we'll go break, guys, 10 minutes break, and then we come back. Okay. So now one thing we need to observe, our code should go to this block of code. Okay, you can see now schema is that. See, schema path is this. Table 1 schema it is reading, and then schema is this struct type struct field. Okay, PySpark schema. Okay, so when it is reading, our file is having some spaces in the given name, right? So now you can see given name, given underscore name. Even when it is reading the data also, it will name these columns as given underscore name. You can see all names in the lower format. Given space name is now renamed as given underscore. You can also see expected given name, given underscore name, but found in the file is given space name. So it is able to rename the columns as well, and even data types as well. That's clear, everyone? Clear, everyone? Any questions? So now we are able to read with the schema, file with the schema, user defined schema, not Spark inferred schema. You can say this is the source data frame. It is given underscore name, not given space name. Below, I think in the target, you can see, you can see the columns are inconsistent. I in the upper format, S in the upper format. Because when we are reading target, we are not passing any schema. Ideally, we should not pass, right? Target is the expected. Sorry, target is the actual data. Okay. So source will be your expected data. So when you are creating expected, you need to provide all kind of configs. For target, you don't need to provide anything. Guys, clear? Any questions? Any questions so far?
Rene, what about showing for this schema na, this capital one? So you try showing for the target is schema.
We are only now handling only source. We are not handling target.
So which output is displaying identify I is capital?
That is for target. No, we have two data frames in the output in the
Okay.
test, right? So we are displaying source df, target df.
Okay.
So when it is displaying, so let me add some proper print message so that print source df is this.
बांध देते हैं.
Okay. Now you can see. So target df is this. Okay. This is the source df.
Okay. Okay.
Where is that message? Where it went? Source df from here. Okay. You can see all names in the proper format now. All in lowercase format. Even the spaces are replaced with the underscore here. But if you go to the below data frame, right? It is now see I in the upper format, S in the upper format. Given it is maybe it was like that only maybe in the file. That's why you see
Okay.
given. Yeah. Okay.
This part is from the file, right? This part.
Yeah, the below one is from the target file. There are two files we are reading now. If I go to the config, okay, for one we have given y. Okay, this is the
Okay.
file. Contact.info.csv. The below one is contact.info7.csv file. This
Okay.
file might
Okay.
have the different naming convention.
Okay. Okay.
So if you want to see the same data with applied, without applied, now let me show you. Same data we are reading, but for the first one I'm applying schema. For the second one I'm not applying schema. Okay, let me run it again to. Okay, you can see. The target now you can see given space name, but source you don't find space, given underscore name.
Okay.
Okay. So for one we are applying schema, other one we are not applying schema. You can see how we are controlling it from this config value. Schema
Okay.
y, N, schema y. So if you say y, it goes to your read file code, and here we have written if schema equal to y, read schema file. If not, directly read info schema equal to true.
Okay.
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 It's clear everyone so far? Everyone clear? This is for only CSV. Okay, we have another like another 3-4 files. We will add those files as well. Clear so far? Any questions? I'll take some break now, 10 minutes break. We'll come back. What is the time now? 11:04, right? 11:15 we'll come back, guys. Yeah. Yeah. 1 second.
So
Yep. I can see your screen.
yeah, so I ran this code.
Mhm.
Okay.
Zero collected. The reason because you are not now test TF airline. 1 second. So can you go to the folder path? Yeah, 1 second. Just do ls here. 1 second. Here you will find test folder, right? Now cd space test.
Okay.
Now do ls. So now run pytest -v -s. Table 1 slash test table 1.py.
So every no, it's
I
showing
think do in like in place of backward slash, right? You do forward slash. It's Windows, right? So it will be different. Table 1. Yeah.
that is test table.
It's test tab, not table 1. You are written test tab. L
Oh,
is missing.
oh.
No, it's collected.
So every time do I need to do this or
No. If you can provide proper path, right? So that is fine. But if see right now we are controlling right from the path.
mhm.
That's why you have to provide accurate path. Otherwise, if you run directly python -v -s, it takes care of running all the files.
Okay.
So when it is not working, we need to see whether we are in the correct folder or not, whether we are providing correct file name or not.
Okay. When it's done, do I need to specifically provide spark.stop or it's already there in our?
It would be better if you can provide. The reason because sometimes that if you keeps on running code, it will hold some memory. Do not release immediately. Take some time to release automatically. So it's better to have the Spark stop at the end of your code so that it will stop all resources and then release all the resources for you to next time.
Okay.
Executed, right?
Yeah, it executed also. It showed me some permanent impediment.
That is fine. You don't. These are not errors. You can see success misses some PID and then all this.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll push the code now. Updated code. You guys properly take it one by one. So you know which files have updated, right, in the class. So you can take only those files and then add them. Yeah, I pushed all my code. Guess yeah, weekend batch, bear with me because I thought this all are covered PySpark one. So Prasanna mentioned he covered PySpark topic. So I thought he covered everything. If not, don't worry, I'll cover. Okay? Otherwise, you can also go back and watch my self-paced learning PySpark sessions.
Yes,
Okay.
Srini, there is one video that's not uploaded, so maybe I can check it. Maybe it's in there. I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay.
Srini, I'm not able to access the site, Srini.
Because you try to log in from more than 5 devices, I don't know
No,
how
I
to.
didn't use I have only two laptops. So one
Oh,
laptop is not working, so second laptop I'm using.
I'll reset it, don't worry.
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
reset for me as well? Because I'm using only one laptop, but still I have the same issue.
What is it?
Uh, Srini, since I have, my first laptop was not that much compatible with Spark, PySpark, so that's why I've installed this on my other machine. So will I be able to access it? But I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. See, we gave you 5 different, like earlier I was giving only 3 devices. Later I've seen many complaints from many people that they have used their personal mobile first and then wife mobile and then office laptop, all these things. So that's why I made it 5.
Okay.
If you guys are getting still 5 also issue, then I have to see different alternate way.
Okay. Even I'm using my wife's laptop, so
Mm.
my personal laptop was not working. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's individual for me, lot of burden. So what I'll do, I'll just increase the number of logins to 5 to maybe 6, 7. That's all I can do. Otherwise, if I go and manually update each one of it, it takes a lot of time for me to update it. That's how I made it from 3 to 5. Yeah, yeah, that's okay. I'll take care of it. Just put a message and then I'll respond you back once I get free time. Okay. Okay. So yeah, now we covered for CSV, right? Like if file is CSV type, and then if file is provided schema, and then not provided schema, we handle the code. Okay. So in case if you want some extra logics here, like while reading CSV, if you want to provide date formats, if you want to treat null values while reading itself, or if you want to do the sampling of the data, you can handle the code here itself. Okay. Or, and then one more, like maybe we have not done it. Let me discuss additional things and then go back to this one. Okay. So let me put this return at the end for some time. So we covered file CSV. Now let me add one more file type. Okay. So elif okay, if file type, okay, file type equal to next type, maybe I'll consider JSON. Okay. So JSON has some extra feature. So JSON does not need any schema, does not need any. So JSON needs schema. JSON does not need file header, separator, this info. So what I can do for JSON, we need some different options. Okay, that is multi-line value. Okay, multi-line true or false. So JSON on a high level, there are two different files. One is JSON multi-line file, JSON single line file. Okay, if it is single line file, we need to provide explicitly multi-line record, multi-line indicator, true or false. Okay, so I'll mention here again here. Okay, inside the elif again if multi-line, so multi-line should come from config file config. So I'll provide file config of multi-line. Okay, which is equal to, or maybe I can directly mention true. Okay? If it is true, okay, automatically goes inside this. Okay, and then here we write df equal to spark read. Okay, read JSON. Okay, and then file path. Okay, so file path, comma, this tag we pass. Okay, equal to true. Else, same piece of code, just pass as false. False. Okay. And if you want to add some extra features again for schema here, like JSON has schema, then I can provide JSON schema, all of it. But I do not want to make too many complications now. So as and when your project has different files and different configurations, you can update this. So now I'm giving blocks for CSV. You can add this way. For JSON, you can add this kind of blocks. But in case if you want to explore furthermore, you can still add the piece of code here. Okay, so that you can do on your own. And then if file is complex file, so we can do flatten of TF. So for both, okay, whether it is single line JSON file, multi-line JSON file, we find this kind of complex structure. So we'll find complex data types like struct type and then array type column. So to convert semi-structure format to the structure format, we use flatten function. So I'll just take flatten function code here. This one also I've covered as part of our batch, guys. So I'll just take the same code from here and then put it. So in the helper, I'll add this function. Okay? Helper function. Okay? So flatten. So while using it, just import it. So here, just add flatten. Done. Okay? So this is for JSON first. Okay? So JSON we covered. If it is multi-line, handle. If it is single line, handle. Plus we are also performing some kind of flattening. So converting from semi-structure format to the structure format. Okay. And then if elif again, elif file type equal parquet. Okay, parquet. And then we write parquet does not have too many features. So parquet has only kind of zip like dot snappy format and a normal format. So let's go with the simple code. Okay, df equal to spark read dot parquet. Spark dot read dot parquet and then provide the path. Okay, file. So Parquet does not take too many features. There is no schema option for Parquet, guys. Okay, can use the simple line of code. And same for Avro. Okay. Let me put AV Avro. Okay. So Avro, there is no directly spark.read.avro. So we have to use format Avro. Okay. Format of AV Avro. And then dot load of file path. Okay. That's all. So if you want to add further files like txt file, like XML file, you can still add like can enhance this library to further moves like XML file. Okay, so read XML, there is a function called read XML, but in the local machine it won't work because we are using some old version of this, so it may not work. But in case if you are working in XML file, you can explore further more on the XML file. So if you want to add txt file, sometimes we also have txt files. So we add txt and then format as here we use CSV. So txt means indirectly it is a CSV file only, right? So txt with some different limiter like delimiter, like pipe delimiter, hyphen delimiter, single quote delimiter. Okay, you can mention it here. Okay, or you can also use .csv in the same piece of code that we have written here. Okay, so I'll just copy paste it. So txt means indirectly it is a CSV file. Okay? And then finally return it. Return data frame. So now we are controlling. Okay, earlier we were only passing CSV. Now if you observe, we have CSV file, we have JSON file code, we have Parquet file code, we have Avro file code, and XML code, and then TXT code. Clear, everyone? So maybe from here, maybe from Avro, I didn't write the accurate code, but in case if you are explicitly using Avro file, XML file, you can enhance this code here, right? Some proper code. But I've written some basic version of the code, but you can change this code to next level. Clear so far? Any questions? Yes, any questions? Yes, any questions? No questions, clear? Clear, Yes or no? Or you don't even understand anything? Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are. That's good.
Clear now?
Yeah.
Chetan, Ripriya, Nizamuddin, Murali, Pankaj. Clear? Sri
Yes.
Lekha.
Yes.
Okay, so now to test this code, right, whether it is working, whether it will work for source file as Parquet file, Avro file, simply go to your YML file. So I'll just close this helper, it's not doing. Okay. So we have tested for CSV with schema Y, schema N. It was working fine. Now what I'll do, I'll mention here JSON file. Okay. Source is my CSV file, target is the JSON file. So I'll take one JSON file for testing. Okay. So which file will take? I'll take single line JSON file. Okay. Copy this path, absolute path. So in Windows Mission, you need to change this path format, guys. I hope you know already how to change the path. Okay. Hoping you know already. So that's why I'm not going in depth now. Okay. If you don't know, let me know. I'll show you how to add this path. Okay. Don't keep R here. R may not work in the config files. Okay. You need to provide 2 times backward slash or forward slash. Okay. Okay. So JSON file, since it's a JSON file, schema if you want to provide, a header is not required for JSON file. Let me keep it as NA, and a separate is also not required. Keep it as NA. And in for schema you can mention as false as you want. But here you need to add one extra field like multi-line. Right? This is needed. Okay, multi-line true. Okay. My file is not multi-line file, it is single line file. So let me mention it as false here. Okay, false. Okay, multi-line equal to false. So just make sure in my code also I have written properly multi-line parameter. Okay, we are taking somewhere here, right? Yeah, multi-line. So it should be lowercase l. Let me use multi-line. Okay, so say multi-line here and multi-line here. Okay, so now if I run the code, okay, so source will be CSV file, target will be JSON file. Okay, so for JSON, whatever is required, we'll keep Y or N and then these things, and then the remaining are NaN. Okay, for JSON file, we only need multi-line, so that's why I kept as multi-line false. If you want to name it as this infer schema NA, you can make an infer schema as NA. Okay, but JSON files also takes infer schema. If you want to provide, you can provide. Okay, so I'll just make it as true. Okay, and run. But we are not using infer schema in our code, so it will be anyway. Even if you provide, it will be wasted. Okay, nothing will happen to the code. Okay, so when I run the code now, so one data from the CSV file, another data from the JSON file. Okay, let's see whether it will display or not. If any issues, we'll fix it one by one, but let it run. When you are building code, right, you need to test different formats, guys. Okay, so I think there is some issue. Let's see what is the issue. Okay, it is issue with the target file read. You can see the block of code. It is code to read target data, and you can see the issue is here. And then what is the issue? Infer schema true. Schema true. Where schema should be struct type or string. We are not providing schema. Okay, one sec. We made it at JSON. Okay. And then file configuration, it goes to this port. So it went to here, and then read file function. Okay. And then schema should be structured. They're not providing any schema here. File path. Path. One moment. Even to this line, you can see the line here. And then failing. 55. File config multi-line. That's true. Let me just cross check what code I have written in the previous dashboard. Just file, read file. Multi-line. Same code, no? File type is JSON. It went inside this. Okay, that means maybe the second parameter is it is considering it weirdly. So let me provide that proper key. Also key. Let me provide path equal to. Let's see. So it is reading source schema, then reads the source data, and then goes to the JSON file. The type is not different. Okay. So I think it is issue with the now complex fields in the helper function. Let me fix that issue. So all these are expected, guys. Okay. So when you write the code, like most of the times these are expected. These are basic import issues or some kind of code issues. You can see these error messages we didn't see. Okay, let me add types of array type. Let me put star. Okay. Do star. Okay. So it is now able to read the data when it is trying to convert from semi-structure format to structure format. It is failing because of import were not there. Let me see again. Okay, there is again one more issue. Let me fix that. So from PySpark dot SQL dot functions import SQL. Okay, so we should not see any red color messages here. Okay, so there is still one more issue. Let me see what is this issue. Explode outer. Okay, let me import explode outer also. Explode outer. Okay. So there was no issue with the code, but there are import. So that's why. So you can see now, right? So it is able to read target data is now. Okay, you can see this is the JSON data. Okay, this is the JSON. Yeah. So country. So if you want to see the file also, let me show the single line JSON file, which is this file. Okay. So this file we are reading. Okay. Ideally, there are many records, but I don't know why it is read only one record. We'll see that issue. But you can see, right? City is the column. So when JSON is read, it will read alphabet manner, right? So city is the first column, the first city, then country column, and then it does sorting of the columns while reading the data. Okay, you can see the data is read. Clear now how to read JSON file from the framework perspective? Guys, clear? Any questions? This file is corrupted, that's why it's showing so many red colors. Let me see this file. This is not the one. Okay, I think this file is corrupted, but yeah, we are able to read JSON file data, guys. Okay. So likewise, if you want to control the execution, right, from one file to another file, now let me show you how to read parquet file. So we have tested the JSON file with the scheme with multi-line equal to false. You want to test, you can change one more file and then put multi-line equal to. So let me show you. Okay, so here you need to change. Okay, so multi-line equal to true. So take one record where multi-line equal to true and then run the code. It should work without any issue. And then the next file, parquet file format. So let me now change this source to parquet file. Okay, so there is one parquet file in this list. So I'll take this file, copy this file name alone. I think it's fine, absolute path. Let's see what. Okay. Okay. So replace this file name with the parquet file and add this file type as parquet. So we have written one code, but we are controlling the complete code with the options that we are keeping it here in the config file, guys. Okay. And then schema is not required. You can keep NA because parquet will not take any options. Okay. So mention as NA. Here also NA. Okay. And infer schema is also not required. You can keep as NA. Okay. So whichever is required, you need to keep NA. Okay. You can create one glossary file where you can keep in the schema what kind of value you can provide. If it is CSV file, if it is Excel file, if it is parquet file, right? You can mention it for reference. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is parquet file. No additional options needed. Just keep for all NA. And now, so in place of single line JSON file, let me add one more file, which is not a normal like single line JSON file, multi-line JSON file. Okay. So let's take one. Yeah, let me take this complex JSON. Yeah, I'll copy this file. Okay. So if you see, right, it has plain columns like this, and then address has few additional columns inside this. Okay. So in general, right, so these are regular columns, and this is not a regular column. It's a complex data type. So it is actually a struct type. Okay. And you'll also find here, see, the one row has this many information. Okay. So in the framework perspective, we handle it everything, okay, without writing any additional code. Okay. So now go here and then update this path. Okay. Since it's a JSON file, okay, just update multi-line equal to true because one record is split across multiple lines. Okay, let me change this to true. Okay, multi-line equal to true. Okay, and infer schema, all these things are not required. If you want, you can keep it. So let me run this. Now this time, source is the parquet file, target is my JSON file, which is complex JSON file. Okay, so complex JSON look like this. After reading data frame, you can clearly observe this data is properly aligned with the data frame format as like tabular format. Okay, so just observe this. Okay, you can see it's still working. Let it execute it. Okay, so this is the parquet file data, right? Registration DDM. This is the parquet file data. Source is parquet, and target is JSON file, which is complex JSON file, which has some nested columns. But if you observe below, right, you will find the data is properly converted from semi-structured format to the structured format. That's clear, everyone. So if you want to see how originally data frame displays the data, right, displays data. So let me put one print message here itself. So before even passing it on to the flatten function. Okay. So we are multi-line equal to true. Okay, so it goes here and then reads the data. So let me put df.show here. Okay. So before converting, after conversion, from semi-structure to the structure form. So now you should understand everything we are driving from the config file, guys. Okay. So you want to change the source data target. In the coding perspective, we are not changing anything. Okay. So everything we are driving from the config file. So if you want to, suppose your source is CSV, target is CSV. Create source target config as source as this, target as this. If your source is parquet file, target is JSON file. You can mention parquet file as source, target as JSON file. Okay. So this is how the original data frame look like before converting. This is the original data frame. So once you read JSON file, this is how data look like. Okay. But we have written one code which actually converts the semi-structured data to the structure format. You can see address column has some data inside this San Diego CA101, and phone number, it has multiple phone numbers. This person has multiple phone numbers. So what we have done, we have created some code that is flattened code that actually converts this format data to this format data to this format. This format. So this will be helpful when we are doing data testing. Clear, everyone? Any questions? So with this, I'll stop it here today. I think we covered almost all the files. You can explore with other files as well. But I would recommend when you are running Avro file, you need to add some additional settings in the local. It may not directly work. So don't try with these three files. Just focus on running for these three files because these three are widely used: CSV, JSON file, and then parquet file. Okay. So Avro file, we have to add some jars info in the local. But if you are using Databricks, then this code will work perfectly fine. But if you run in the local machine, it might fail, throw you some error. Avro is not there, and even XML also. Okay. So for now, the focus should be three files: CSV file, JSON file, parquet file. Play with the data, guys. Okay. Use CSV with a schema, without schema. Okay. Provide incorrect header, okay, incorrect separator, incorrect infer schema value, and see how your code is behaving. Try to break the code and let me know if you need any changes. We will do it. Okay. And yeah, so likewise, try for these three files. It should work. So when we connect next time, right, for weekday batch, I'll continue as a weekdays. So weekend batch, I'll take only weekend sessions. Okay. I do not want to continue together for now. Okay? Yeah, so here we added only for read file. Okay. So in the next session, when we meet, we will discuss how to connect to the database. Okay. So we add the code for database read as well. So that we are done with the read part. Okay. Next session will complete reading data from the databases, and then onwards we cover validation functions. Okay. Once we have data in the data frame format, we can do all the validations that we want to do. And then later we'll discuss fixtures, like how to add the fixtures, how to create CI/CD, all these things. Okay? Yeah, I think I'm done for today. If you have any questions, we can discuss. Otherwise, I'll stop it here today.
So Srini, for the database, do we need